Shabbat Shalom. Welcome to SUOMI Torah weekly Shabbat discussion. I'm Daniel, your host, and with Jon Kalb, we welcome you to this week 48 portion called Shoftim, Judges, from Deuteronomy 16:18 through 21:9. The parashah sets out rules for judges, kings, Levites, prophets, cities of refuge, witnesses, war, and unsolved murders. Let's begin. Before we dive into the Torah portion, let's bow our heads and pray. Heavenly Father, we are just so blessed to be here to fellowship with you, to be seeking you first on your day of rest that you made for us, that we can grow together, that we can grow closer to you. We just ask that you fill us with your ruach, your wisdom and understanding. We thank you for allowing us still even to gather on your day across the four corners, and we pray that you keep this study so we can study together and bless those who are here and might watch later on. And O Yahweh, the mighty Elohim, we come to you today to ask for relief from pain. We wish to ask for your mercy. Please grant them relief from the burdens and bless them with a good night's rest. We thank you for the blessing of wellness. In his name, Yahushua HaMashiach, we pray. Amen. Okay, Deuteronomy 16 and verse 19. Correction 18. Appoint judges and officers within all your gates, with which Yahweh, your Elohim, is giving you according to your tribes, and they shall judge the people with righteous right ruling. Do not distort right ruling, do not show partiality, nor take a bribe, for a bribe blinds the eyes of the wise and the twist and the words of the righteous. Follow righteousness, righteousness alone, so that you live in and inherit the land which Yahweh, your Elohim, is giving you. Do not plant for yourself any trees as an Asherah near the slaughter place of Yahweh, your Elohim, that you make for yourself. Do not set up a pillar which Yahweh, your Elohim, hates. So if we reread the verse 19 again, it says, do not distort right ruling. And I have written here, if you read from the Zephaniah 3, Zephaniah 3. Woe to her who is rebellious and defiled, the oppressing city. She listens to no voice. She accepts no correction. She does not trust in the law. She does not draw near to her God. Her officials within her are roaring lions. Her judges are evening wolves that leave nothing till the morning. Her prophets are fickle, treacherous men. Her priests profane with what is holy. They do violence to the law.
And that's exactly right. And actually, when you read through the book of Proverbs, it gives us a lot of indication too of what it means to, be righteous, and that's seeking after the Torah, right? So that's the key to right ruling is Torah keeping, right? And not to take a bribe, we can look around in our, especially in the United States government. I would imagine Finland's probably not much different, because it seems like all the governments of the world are the same. How many people are put aside by bribes? How many times are people let free because of bribes? So it works both ways, and I think this is very important, not to show partiality. that's one of the things that it says about Yahweh. He shows no respect of persons, right? He does not show partiality. And today, there's neither Jew nor Greek, slave nor free, male nor female. We're all one in Messiah, right? No partiality at all. But the bottom line is, do you know the Messiah? Or more importantly, are you known by him, right? So, and then continuing on in verse 20, follow righteousness, so that you live and inherit the land which Yahweh, your Elohim, is giving to you. Oh, wow. This is, and I think one of the fallacies out there in the Christian world is that Yahusha is going to impute his righteousness. It's called imputed righteousness. In other words, he's going to take his righteousness and cover us with that. And actually, there's yes but no to that question, because we are going to be judged by our own works. Romans 2, Revelation 20 tell us that. That's how we're going to be judged. His imputed righteousness was to cover the death sentence that all of us deserve for our sin. And none of us is righteous, not even one, it says, right? We all have sinned and fall short of the glory of Yahweh, right? And then in 1 John, I think it's 1:8, it says that he who says he has not sinned is a liar, and the truth is not in him. So that's a paraphrase, I think. I don't have it exact, but so I think that's important when we look at this entrance into the land which is promised. And that's, again, Deuteronomy is all about that picture of entering the promised land. I know we talked about it last week and probably the week before, because the whole book is about that entering into the promised land, which is yet to come. That's the beauty of this. This is yet to come. It happened, but yet it didn't happen. They did not enter into the rest, it tells us in Hebrews 4. So anyway, do you have anything else you want to add to this, Daniel?
No.
Okay.
Okay, so we should continue to 17, okay?
Yeah.
Well, actually, Sherry just wrote a comment saying from the 1 John 2:4, he that says, I know him and guards his not commandments is a liar, and the truth is not in him. Yeah,
Yep.
wow, very powerful words.
Right. Yep.
Okay, so 17. Do not slaughter to Yahweh your Elohim a bull or a sheep which has any blemish, any evil matter, for that is an abomination to Yahweh your Elohim. When there is found in your midst, in any of your cities, which Yahweh your Elohim is giving you, a man or a woman who does what is evil in the eyes of Yahweh your Elohim, in transgressing his covenant, and he has gone and served other mighty ones and bowed down to them, or to the sun, or to the moon, or to any of the host of the heavens, which I have not commanded, and it has been made known to you, and you have heard, and have searched diligently, then see if true the matter is confirmed that such an abomination has been done in Israel, that you shall bring you out of your gates that man or woman that who has done this evil matter, and you shall stone to death that man or woman with stones. At the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses shall he that is to die be put to death. He is not put to death by mouth of 1 witness. The hand of the witnesses shall be first against him to put him to death, and the hand of all the people last. So you shall purge the evil from your midst. When any matter arises, which is too hard for you to judge, between blood and blood, between plea and plea, or between stroke and stroke, matters of strife within your gates. Then you shall rise and go up to the place which Yahweh your Elohim chooses, and shall come to the priest and Levites, and to the judge who is in those days, and shall inquire, and they shall declare to you the word of right ruling. And you shall do according to the word which they declare to you from that place which Yahweh chooses. And you shall guard to do according to all that they instruct you. Do according to the Torah in which they teach you, according to the right ruling with which they say to you. You do not turn to the right or to the left from the word which they declare to you. And the man who acts arrogantly, so as not to listen to the priest who stands to serve there before Yahweh, your Elohim, or to the judge, that man shall die. So you shall purge the evil from Israel. And let all the people hear and fear, and no longer do arrogantly. When you come to the land which Yahweh, your Elohim, is giving you, and shall possess it and shall dwell in it, and you shall say, let me set a sovereign over me, like all the nations that are around me. You shall certainly set a sovereign over you whom Yahweh your Elohim shall choose. Set a sovereign over you from among your brothers. You are not allowed to set a foreigner over you who is not your brother. Only he is not to increase forces for himself, nor cause the people to return to Mizraim to increase forces. For Yahweh has said to you, do not return that way again. And he is not to increase wise for himself, lest his heart turn away, nor is he to greatly increase silver and gold for himself. And it shall be, when he sits on the throne of his reign, that he shall write for himself a copy of this Torah in a book, from one before the priest the Levites. And it shall be with him, and he shall read it all the days of his life, so that he learns to fear Yahweh your Elohim, and guard all the words of this Torah and these laws to do them, so that his heart is not lifted up above his brothers, and so as not to turn aside from the command, right or left, so that he prolongs his days in his reign, he and his children in the midst of Israel. Do you want to comment first, John?
No, go ahead. I'll follow up if you've got.
Okay, I'm just saying that within what it means there, within any of thy gates, the expression within any of thy gates denoted all residing in the cities and all who went in and came out of the gates of them, so that included the inhabitants of the whole land. And to Deuteronomy, to verse 13, it says, and let all people hear and fear, and no longer do arrogantly. And if you could imagine, if you have a son and he's being stoned to death for he has done wrong, or leading the others astray in the center of the town, and all the rest of the children in that town saw that, how many of them that are left would go down that road? Mm-hmm. So basically it says the rules are important in the community. Even so, when people are living in the community, things could go wrong, things get broken, people get hurt, people have disagreements. There must be order, right ruling in place. Yahweh is our example. He has rules which we must obey, for he is not, Elohim of chaos, but Elohim of order.
Very much so, Daniel, because when you go back here several times in Deuteronomy alone, it tells us that it's not only for the Israelite, but it's also for the sojourner with him, right? It tells us that in Leviticus as well. It's one rule for everybody, and that has not changed. And many want to say that, oh no, that has changed. That's the whole Christianese mantra, right? All of that stuff is done away with, but it hasn't been. It's very much so, and is in effect today, even though people want to say that it's not. So I think that's one of the important aspects of that. Do you have anything else you wanted to add, or should I?
Yeah. To verse 17 about the increased whites and silvers, and
Mhm.
reminds me of what happened to King Solomon. He disobeyed Yahweh's command and his heart turned away. And if we read from the Nehemiah 13:26, did not Shlomo, sovereign of Israel, sin because of them? Among the many nations there was no sovereign like him, who was beloved of him, his Elohim. And Elohim made his sovereign over all Israel, even him foreign woman caused it to sin. And to add it to 1 Kings chapter 10, verse 21, and all the drinking vessels of sovereign Solomon were of gold, and all the vessels of the house of the forest of Lebanon were of refined gold, not as silver, for this was reckoned a little value in the days of Solomon.
Yeah, interestingly enough, right? What does he do as well as the wives? But he also goes back and he buys a whole bunch of horses for his chariots and stuff from where? Mizraim.
Mm-hmm.
So he was warned. That's what Deuteronomy is this book of warning. Don't go down those paths. And he was warned. But did he listen? No. And what happened to him, right? Look at all the stuff that took place because I don't even know what the right word is to describe his arrogance, perhaps, because that's the word that's used up there in verse 12, right? The man who acts arrogantly, right? And so, but also then, what about verse 18? Did he accomplish that task? And it shall be when he sits on the throne of his reign that he shall write for himself a copy of this Torah in a book from the one before the Kohanim and the Levites. So did he write down the words? To think of that, if you were to write this out by hand, just the first 5 books, the Pentateuch, as it's called, how important would that be, or how much would that lesson be for you when you're writing down the words of Yah? Would you then apply it to your heart? I guess as I studied scripture, I had notes everywhere, pieces of paper. I can't even find them all because they're just scattered. But that's what I would do if I was preparing for a study. I wrote down and I wrote out all of the verses that went with that study by hand. And so I think a lot of those then kind of stick with you because you write it out. When you don't write it out and and now it's kind of a bad habit for me because I use the Young's Concordance, and you're going through and you're finding these, and oh man, but now it's so easy because we just have everything on the computer. You can just click and go and click and go. I don't remember what I used to remember, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I was going to add that, when I read the scriptures from phone, I don't remember as well because you have to read it from the book, and make notes. That's how you remember.
Exactly.
But I would like to add about the verse 19. So basically, what I understood that we should be reading and writing the Torah of our own if we want to be kings and priests in the future. And if we are found righteous and called, of course, why wouldn't we start practicing now? And We live in
Wow.
an age that has technology for it, and where you can make time listen while commuting or on the way to work by vehicle.
That's very profound, Daniel. Yeah. If we're going, I never put that in that context. If we're going to be kings and priests, then literally that is our job, is to be writing that down. I know there's the passage in Jeremiah that, you know, he will write upon our hearts. I think it's, what is it, 31:31? I don't know. Sherry probably knows. But many think that that's been done already, that, oh, that's been accomplished. I don't think that has happened yet, because we don't have, we're not in that position where everyone knows and is on the same page. We're still teaching each other, which is biblically accurate that we do that until that day, until he gives us our new language, until he writes that on our heart. And I actually don't think that happens, and I'm going to throw this out there, until the 8th day, until Yahushua hands everything over to the Father. I may be wrong, but we'll see. We'll have to go through that the 7th day first, that 1,000 years. So one of the other things in here in verse 9, partway through, it says, "And they shall declare to you the word of right ruling." And this is speaking of the priests. Well, now we have that. Hebrews 1:1, you know, in the past, he spoke to us by the prophets, right? In these last days, he has spoken to us by his Son, who is the Word, right? We know that in John 1. He's the Word made flesh. So literally now we have what we need. We just need to, as you say, and that's a great point. We need to be writing this out as to be kings and priests. That's a great point. And then, of course, verse 11, "Do according to the Torah in which they teach you, according to the right ruling which they say to you. You do not turn to the right or to the left from the word which they declare to you." Now, I wouldn't say necessarily that we have priests in this capacity anymore. That's there because the Levite priesthood is done away. We now have the words of Yahushua, right? So we have in the order of Melchizedek. So we still have the word, and we still need to be obedient to it and not turn to the right or to the left. And it's so easy to do, right? There's so many who are led from one way to the other in this whole gamut of false teaching that's out there, because there's so much that's there that people accept just because their pastor says it, or just because this person says it. I don't care who it is. We need to diligently go back in and make sure the words that we're following are the words written down long ago, not the words that somebody says this means. Well, this is what it means to me, which is the people of Laodicea.
Yeah, just like a person who is deceased now, Rob Skiba said, do your own research. And even though we do the recordings on every Sabbath, it doesn't mean that you will learn from us. You have to read the scriptures by yourself.
Yep. Shema, right? Hear and obey, right? That's the key to this. And that kind of takes us back to the first couple verses here, verse 2. "When there is found in your midst any of the cities which Yahweh your Elohim has given you, a man or a woman who does what is evil in the eyes of Yahweh your Elohim, in transgressing the covenant, and he has gone and served other mighty ones and bowed down to them, or to the sun, or to the moon, or to any of the hosts of the Shamayim, which I have commanded you, and it has been made known to you, and you have heard and have searched diligently, then see, if true, the matter is confirmed, and that such an abomination has been done in Yisrael. Then you shall bring out to your gates the man or the woman who has done this evil matter, and you shall stone to death that man or woman, with stones. Now, are we in the position of stoning people today? I would have to say no, because we would go to jail for murder. However, we at the same time know Catholicism, for instance, is sun god worship, and it's Dagon worship, and it's a whole bunch of other amalgamations, because really they were a pantheon of gods that came together to create Catholicism, which is the basis, stemming from Marcion, of Christianity. Because the true believers, even during Constantine time, were worshiping on the Sabbath. They were keeping the feast days. That's why he made the rule, right? We're not going to worship on the seventh day. We're going to worship on the first day, as to not associate with those who worship on the seventh day, because those are Judaizers. Those are from Yehuda. Those are really, in essence, what he said is that's the true Messiah, and we're not going to worship there. We're going to worship on the first day of the week, which he named Sunday, Sun God Worship Day. And so all of the people who do sun god worship in one form or another, and a lot of people do it without even realizing it. And I'm even going to step on a few toes here, perhaps, and say there's even those who, in this realm of keeping Torah, also are moon god worshipers, because they're going to use the moon as the status for keeping their calendar. When I believe Enoch for sure, Jubilees for sure, and I think you can even decipher that from the 66 book canon, do not give you that authority to use the moon to begin your months or any of that. And so perhaps that's even a form of idolatry or of worship that, I'm not picking on anybody. I'm just saying I think we have to be careful with how we choose the way we worship. So, all right, chapter 18. Was that me?
May I
doing...
go back to the verse 20?
Sure.
Okay, so when it says, so that his heart is not lifted above his brothers, so as not to turn aside from the command right or left. But this reminds me of where Yahushua washing his disciples' feet, and if I could quote from the John 13:5, after that he put water into a basin and began to wash the feet of the taught ones, and to wipe them with the towel and which he has girded. And so he came to Shimon Kepha, and he said to him, Master, do you wash my feet? Yahushua answered and said to him, You do not know what I am doing now, but you shall know after this. Kepha said to him, By no means shall you wash my feet ever. Yahushua answered him, If I do not wash you, you have no part with me. Shimon Kepha said to him, Master, not my feet only, but also my hands and my head. Yahushua said to him, He who has had a bath does not need to wash except his feet, but is clean altogether. And you are clean, but not all of you. So, it just, I think this is like saying that you should not lift one above one on other, even though, man, I have hard time to say this. Just give me a minute, okay?
Sure. Okay. So we're gonna we'll come back to that if Daniel wants to in the end. I'm gonna start reading in chapter 18. The Kohanim and the Levites, all the tribe of Levi, have no part nor inheritance in Yisrael. They are to eat the offerings of Yahweh made by fire and his inheritance. But among his brothers, no inheritance. Yahweh is his inheritance, as he has spoken. And this is the Cohen's right from the people, from those who bring an offering, whether it be a bull or a sheep. They shall give to the Cohen the shoulder and the two cheeks and the stomach, and the first fruits of your grain and your new wine and your oil, and the first of the fleece of your sheep you give to him. For Yahweh your Elohim has chosen him out of all your tribes to stand to serve in the name of Yahweh, him and his sons forever. And when the Levite, comes from one of your gates, from where he has sojourned among all Yisrael, and shall come and with all the desire of his being to the place which Yahweh chooses, then he shall serve in the name of Yahweh his Elohim, like all his brothers, the Levites, who are standing there before Yahweh. They are to have portion for portion, to eat beside what comes from the sale of his inheritance. When you come into the land which Yahweh your Elohim is giving to you, do not learn to do according to the abominations of those Gentiles. Let no one be found among you who makes his son or his daughter pass through the fire, or the one who practices divination, or the user of magic, or the one who interprets omens, or the sorcerer, or the one who conjures spells, or the medium, or the spiritualist, or the one who calls up the dead. For whoever does these things and are an abomination to Yahweh, and because of these abominations, Yahweh your Elohim drives them out from before you. Be perfect before Yahweh your Elohim. For these nations whom you are dispossessing, listen to those using magic and to diviners. But as for you, Yahweh your Elohim has not appointed such for you. Yahweh your Elohim shall rise up for you a Nabi like me from your midst, from your brothers. Listen to him. According to all you ask of Yahweh your Elohim in Horeb, in the day of the assembly, saying, let me not hear again the voice of Yahweh your Elohim, nor let me see the great fire anymore, lest I die. And Yahweh said to me, what they have spoken is good. I shall rise up for them a Nabi, or a priest, right? Like you, out of the midst of their brothers. And I shall put my words in his mouth, and he shall speak to them all that I command them. All that I command him, and it shall be that the man who does not listen to my words, which he speaks in my name, I will require it of him. But the Nabi, who presumes to speak a word of my name, which I have not commanded him to speak, nor who speaks in the name of other mighty ones, even that Nabi shall die. But when you say in your heart, how do we know the word which Yahweh has not spoken? When the Nabi speaks in the name of Yahweh, and the word is not, or comes not, that is the word which Yahweh has not spoken. The Nabi has spoken it presumptuously. Do not be afraid of him. Wow, this is a very powerful passage here. First of all, it begins out speaking about our offerings, which go to the Levites, right? I mean, this was their inheritance. This was what they were to live on, was the blessing which Yah gave to the rest of the Yasharel. They were to bring that in, give it to the priests, and they were then to eat of that. So when they talk about a lot of the sacrifices and this and that, when they came in, it was to feed the people, to feed the Levites. You know, it wasn't so much, oh, we're gonna burn a calf today and we're gonna burn another one tomorrow. It was to feed the Levites, because they didn't have an inheritance. And we'll go back to the last chapter, because realistically, if we're going to be kings and priests, which was who the Levites were to be, then Yah is our inheritance. So we can get all caught up in the stuff of this world, but at the same time, he's our protector, our defender, our provider. So let's keep that in mind as we understand what is really going on in the grand big picture of things as we enter into the land, as we strive to enter into his rest. Then when we drop down to verse 9, it says, when you come to the land Yahweh your Elohim has given you, do not learn to do it according to the abominations of the Gentiles, right? I think of in the book of Galatians, Paul says that salvation came from the Yahudim, from the Jews, is the word that's used in there. So really, it came through Judah, because salvation came through the lineage of Judah. But he said, not like you Gentile sinners. Well, what made them Gentile sinners? Because they did the things that he just spoke of here. And we're warned in the New Testament as well, not to do the divinations, not to do the sorceries, not to have the pharmakia, all of that stuff that's warned there. Well, realistically, it's warned here first. Don't go down that path, right? And I don't know, there's different ideas here about making your son or daughter go through the fire here. Stephen Ben-Dun did a teaching one time where he thought that was actually where they were trying to create Nephilim by doing that. But I realistically, I know that they had the statue of Molech there, and they would play real loud music and everything else when they laid their child on there as a burnt sacrifice to bring good weather or to bring rain or whatever it was. I mean, what an abomination to Yah, just like abortion is today. And we have many people in this world. Oh, we have too many people. I know multiple people who think we have too many. And think of all the abortions, what, 60, 70, 80 million in the United States alone. It's a kind of a calculated number. But think of that. Think of how many more people would be on the earth if it weren't for abortion in this world today. And, oh, well, we wouldn't have enough food to feed them. You know what? If we were serving Yah, the food would come down from heaven if we were truly serving him. The land would produce its fruit. So yeah, you're right, Sherry, that they played loud music so they could not hear the screams of the infant. Yeah, how sad that is.
If I may add to the verse 9,
Mhm.
it says all those abominations, and I can think a couple of vacant feasts. I bet your listeners know the answer as well. He says, don't do it this way. And sadly, in Finland, we have a new trend in our country that where children wants to act as an animal, wearing animal mask and imitating to be an animal. The modern world is going crazy. And do these children know the right or wrong for doing this? I'm not
Yeah.
sure, because the parents might not be reading the Torah.
Well,
But
it's not even, it's just pure crazy. Because where did this come from? Where little kids going to school should have a litter box put out for them or be taken out for a walk in the playground. Are they out there taking a dump in the playground? My child came home and said, I want to be a cat. You know what food they would get? I'd give them some cat food and say, oh, there you go. There's the dish. Oh no, you don't get to sleep in the bed. You're going to sleep outside on the ground. So yeah, Babylon is back in full swing. So true. So true. So yeah, in verse 12, then I know I'm trying to go faster today, but for whoever does these are an abomination to Yahweh. And because of these abominations, Yahweh your Elohim drives them out before you, right? So be perfect before Yahweh your Elohim. For these nations whom you're dispossessing, listen to those using magic and diviners. But as for you, Yahweh your Elohim has not appointed such for you, right? No. Don't listen to the sorcerers. Don't listen to these people who are diviners and oh, well, I got this or that from all these other different ways. You know, I think it's very important that we focus on the word and what the word says. So hold on, I got to read one passage here out of the book of Sirach. Sirach, I think it's chapter 34. The first 7 verses, or first 8 verses, I'm sorry. The hopes of a man, void understanding, are vain and false, and dreams lift up fools. Whoso regards dreams is like him that catches a shadow and follows after the wind. The vision of dreams is the resemblance of one thing to another, even as a likeness of a face to a face. Of an unclean thing, what can be cleansed? And from that thing which is false, what truth can come? Divinations and soothsayers and dreams are vain, and the heart fancies as a woman's heart in travail. If they be not sent from Elyon in your visitation, set not your heart upon them, for dreams have deceived many, and they have failed that put their trust in them. The Torah shall be found perfect, without lies, and wisdom is perfection to the faithful mouth. I just think that is so applicable, because there's so much stuff that's going on in the world that there's so many people following. I mean, if you're on YouTube, I don't really follow these people, but they're constantly taking people one direction or another, right? Especially in this Christian eschatology of what's going on. So, so verse 15 then and following, this is a beautiful, beautiful passage. Yahweh your Elohim shall rise up for you a Nabi like me from your midst, from your brothers. Listen to him. So now when we come to the book of John, right, what is said? Are you the one? Are you the prophet? Or is there another coming? And John says, no, I am not the prophet. But behold, the Lamb of Yahweh, who takes away the sin of the world. So who was the prophet who came speaking, as it says here, we're going to read this, in the name of the Father? It's none other than Yahusha. This is a prophetic announcement that Yahusha would come. Just a beautiful, beautiful announcement. And it says, listen to him, right? And so then as we continue on, according to all you ask of Yahweh, your Elohim, in Horeb, in the day of the assembly, saying, let me not hear again the voice of Yahweh, my Elohim, nor let me see the great fire any more, lest I die. And Yahweh said to me, what they have spoken is good. I, verse 18, shall rise up for them a Nabi like you, out of the midst. He's speaking to Moshe here, right? A Nabi like Moshe, right? Out of the midst of their brothers. And I shall put my words in his mouth, and he shall speak to them all that I commanded. And that's exactly what Yahusha said. He proclaimed it. I say nothing but what my Father gave me to say. I don't do anything but what my Father gave me to do, right? He was this priest. He was the one that Yah raised up and put before us. Wow. And it shall be the man who does not listen to him, or I'm sorry, listen to my words, which he speaks in my name, I require it of him. What else did Yahusha say? He said, I didn't come to judge the world. The word judges. The word that said does the judging. Yahusha didn't come to judge, but the word written down, that will judge. And how are we to do this? We must be obedient Acts 5:32 says that the Ruach is given to those who obey. Obedience is such a key in our walk, right? It just is. And I know we've already said it, the Shema, right? Hear and obey. It's not a new thing, right? And it's not that we get to live however we want and we're going to magically be declared righteous because of the work on the cross. No, we are commanded to be righteous before him. And when we fail, we are to ask forgiveness and say, oh, please forgive me, for I have failed and I have fallen short. You know, it sometimes that's a daily thing for us, right? Because we all have thoughts and words and actions that fail the Torah, right? Because we don't always love. And Romans tells us that love is the fulfillment of the Torah.
Yeah, I think we should strive for perfection, you know, not just return to our own vomit like we did yesterday or tomorrow and just beg for forgiveness. That's not,
right.
I mean, that's not how it goes. But
No.
we should, you know, learn from our mistakes and not just redo it.
Right. Right.
And
sometimes I wonder the circumstances that we're in, you know, are challenges for us that, hey, wait a minute, how are we going to behave? How are we going to act when things aren't going the way we want them to go? Right? So I don't know. It's a challenge. So
if I may, I would like to read the characteristics of Moshe, and thanks to Anna Fink for gathering all the information into one page to compare. So basically, Moshe survived the killings of thousands of infants, and if we will look at the Yahushua, he did as well to survive the killings of thousands of infants in Matthew 2, and then he was opposed by his own family, and he tried to atone for the sins of Israel. He was the most meek man on the face of the earth. He had power over the sea. He walked through the Red Sea. His face shined with light. He was the giver of the Torah. He was the judge of Israel. He was the intercessor for Israel. He conducted miracles. He rescued Israel out of bondage. He fed Israel with miraculous food. He arrived on a donkey. He was the giver of blood covenant. He went up to Yahweh on the third day. He fasted 40 days and nights. He gave atonement instructions. He chose 12 men to go out for Israel. Now, that we have quickly recapped some of the likeness of Moshe. Let us now see the undeniable identical characteristics of Yahushua, our true Messiah and great prophet. So he was opposed again by his own family. He atoned for the sins of Israel. He was the most meek man. He had power over the sea. And yes, you can see, we can go list down and we can see all the likeness that Yahushua is the prophet after Moses.
Yahushua is the prophet. Amen. Amen, Daniel. Amen. Wow. All right. Anyone else have anything they want to add to this chapter, or shall we move on? All right, chapter 19. When Yahweh your Elohim cuts off the nations whose land Yahweh your Elohim has given you, and you dispossess them, and dwell in their cities and in their houses, separate 3 cities for yourself in the midst of your land, which Yahweh your Elohim has given you to possess. Prepare a way for yourself, and divide into 3 parts the border of your land, which Yahweh your Elohim has given you to inherit, that anyone who killed someone shall flee there. And this is the matter of the one who killed someone who flees there and live. He who smites his brother unintentionally, not having hated him in time past, even he who goes to the forest with his neighbor to cut timber, and his hand swings in a stroke with the axe to cut down the tree, and the head slips off, and the handle and strikes his neighbor so that he dies. Let him flee to one of the cities and live, lest the revenger of blood, while his displeasure is hot, pursue the one who killed him, someone who overtake him, because the way is long, and he shall smite him, though he was not worthy of death, since he had not hated him before. Therefore I am commanding you, saying, separate these 3 cities for yourself. And Yahweh your Elohim enlarges your border, as he swore to your fathers, and has given you the land which he promised to give you to your fathers. When you guard all this command to do it, which I am commanding you today, to love Yahweh your Elohim, and to walk in his ways all the days, then you shall add 3 more cities for yourselves besides these 3, so that innocent blood is not shed in the midst of your land, which Yahweh your Elohim is giving you as an inheritance, or blood guilt shall be upon you. And when anyone hates his neighbor, and he shall wait for him, and rise against him, and smite the life from him so that he dies, then he shall flee to one of these cities, and the elders of the city shall bring him from there, and give him into the hand of the revenger of blood, and he shall die. Your eyes shall not pardon him, but you shall purge the blood of the innocent from Yisrael, so that it might be well with you. Do not remove your neighbor's boundary, which these in the past have bound you in your inheritance, which you inherit in the land that Yahweh your Elohim has given you to possess. One witness does not rise up against a man concerning any wickedness or any sin that he commits. At the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses, or at the mouth of 3 witnesses, a matter is established. When a malicious witness rises up against any man who accuses him of turning aside, then both men who have the dispute shall stand before Yahweh, before the Cohen and the judge who serve in those days. And the judges shall diligently search and see if the witness is a false witness who has falsely accused his brother. Then you shall do to him as he thought to have done to his brother. Thus you shall purge the evil from your midst, and let the rest hear and revere, and never again do this evil in your midst. And let not your eye pardon life for life, eye for eye, tooth for tooth, hand for hand, foot for foot. So once again, here we're in this position of, well, is capital punishment. I know there's many out there agree or disagree. My stance is I personally do agree with capital punishment to the degree of murder for murder, eye for eye. You know, not, oh, well, this person is a drug dealer and now he's got to be put to death, you know. But it's very interesting that Yah sets up these sanctuary cities as a place for people who murder or kill someone unintentionally can flee. So then when they flee there, then the elders of the city are to go and bring out the one who is a murderer, right? So interestingly enough. So I better not read the chat while I'm reading this. I changed my tone of thought here. So, and of course, the revenger of blood. So he's going to be the first one to throw the stone, right? That's the same thing with the witnesses, right? So if you have witnesses who come out and there's someone who's done evil, who's the first one to cast the stone? It's the one who says, this person did this. They cast the first stone, because that's really putting the responsibility of what they said on them, right? So I think that's very important. And you know, we're not to pardon life for life, as it says in the very end, you know. And one of the other things, and I think I was going to mention it in the other one, you know, in chapter 17, verse 12, you know, or to the judge, that man shall die. So you shall purge the evil from Yasharel. Vengeance is mine, saith Yahweh. And so all of these things, whether known or unknown, Yah is going to execute his vengeance upon all of humanity, whether alive when he returns or whether they're in Sheol. You know, the book of Enoch gives us the four places where everyone's soul is in Sheol. And I think sometimes we think that some people get away with it here, but they will be judged according to what they got away with, and they will be judged according to what evil they did here and were punished for here. So it's kind of interesting to me how Yah divides this all out, as well as for the righteous and for the child. So, Daniel, you have anything you want to add here?
No, except I could read from the Matthew 18, verse 15. So, if your brother sins against you, go and tell him his fault between you and him alone. If he listens to you, you have gained your brother. But if he does not listen to you, take one or two other along with you, that every charge may be established by the evidence of 2 or 3 witnesses. If he refuses to listen to them, tell it to the church. And if he refuses to listen even to the church, let him be to you as a Gentile and a tax collector. So, like Matthew said, you need 2 or 3 witnesses in order to judge that person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's very interesting in this passage in Matthew that then we're to have them taken out of the called out assembly, right? So what we see though today, I assume that it worked in the past, but what we see today then, even in the Christian church or even in the Torah community, is, well, then we just bounce around. Well, this person didn't like me. They called me out. They said that I was blah blah blah, whatever it is, and so then you're kicked out of that one and you go on to the next one and probably create havoc there as well. And I think that's one of those dangers of social media today, that we end up in this position of moving from place to place, and not assuming responsibility for our own actions. Judy?
Yes, I'd just like to comment on witnesses. If we think there is a false witness in the Apocrypha, in the story of Susanna, that Daniel, he interviewed those witnesses separately to make sure their stories were straight. And when they found out that they were false witnesses, they were punished with the punishment she would have been punished with. So Yah provides for what if they're false witnesses.
Exactly. Yeah. I thought of that story, but I didn't know where it was to flip over to it. So thanks, Judy. That's very true. That's exactly right. So, all right. Anyone else? Okay, chapter 21 then. Through verse 9, I think it is. Yep.
20.
Oh, yeah, we're on 20. Yeah. Sorry. So we got an extra one to go, Daniel? Is that what you're saying? Okay. Getting ahead of myself here. When you go out to battle against your enemies and shall see horses and chariots and people more numerous than you, do not be afraid of them. For Yahweh your Elohim, who brought you up from the land of Mitzrayim, is with you. And it shall be when you draw near to battle, the Cohen shall come and speak to the people, and he shall say to them, Hear, O Yasharel, you are drawing near today to battle with your enemies. Do not let your heart faint. Do not fear or tremble or be afraid of them. For Yahweh your Elohim, who goes with you to fight for you against your enemies to save you. And the officer shall speak to the people, saying, Who is the man who is built the house and has not dedicated it, let him go and return to his house, lest he die in battle, and another man dedicate it. Who is the man who has planted a vineyard and has not begun to use it? Let him also go and return to his house, lest he die in battle, and another man should begin to use it. And who is the man who is engaged to a woman and has not taken her? Let him go and return to his house, lest he die in battle, and another man take her. And the officers shall speak further to the people and say, who is the man who is afraid and tender of heart? Let him go and return to his house, lest the heart of his brothers faint like his heart. And it shall be, when the officers have finished speaking to the people, that they shall appoint commanders of divisions to lead the people. When you draw near a city to fight against it, you shall make a call for peace. And it shall be that if it is, let me try that again. And it shall be that if it accepts your call for peace and shall open to you, then all the people found in it are to be your compulsory labor and serve you. But if it does not make peace with you, and you shall fight against you, then you shall besiege it. And Yahweh your Elohim shall give it into your hands, and you shall smite every male in it with the edge of the sword. Only the women and the little ones and the livestock and all in the city, all its spoil, you take as plunder for yourself. And you shall eat the enemy's plunder, which Yahweh your Elohim gives you. Do not do so with all the cities which are very far from you, and are not the cities of these nations. Only the cities of these people, which Yahweh your Elohim gives you as an inheritance, do you keep alive, any that breathe. But you shall certainly put them under the ban, the Hittite, and the Amorite, and the Canaanite, and the Pezerite, and the Hivite, and the Jebusite, as Yahweh your Elohim has commanded you, lest they teach you to do according to all their abominations which they have done for their mighty ones, and you sin against Yahweh your Elohim. When you besiege a city for a long time by fighting against it to take it, you do not destroy its trees by wielding an axe against them. If you do eat of them, do not cut them down, for it is the tree of the field, a man who is besieged by you. Only the trees which you know are not trees for food, you destroy and cut down and build siege works against the city that is fighting against you until it falls. So, wow, once again, we got more stuff in here to try to learn and to apply. One of the things that I found pretty interesting in here is that when Yah makes this decision in here, if the city willingly goes to peace and says, okay, yeah, you guys are going to whoop us, so we will be your slaves, or your laborers, we're going to pay you tribute, whatever, however you want to word it, then that's okay. Then the men get to live. But if they don't do that, if they say, no, we're gonna fight against you, because who are they really fighting against? They're fighting against Yah. And so then he says, oh, wait a minute, if this city does that, then you're to slaughter all the men, and only the women and the children and the livestock are plunder for you. That's, to me, that's just, I mean, I don't quite comprehend why Yah does it that way, but I'm thinking that in my mind, that these people didn't want to be subject to Yah, because everyone in the land, when they go in, they knew what was going on. When they go into Jericho, for instance, they knew, oh, wait a minute, these people are coming in here, they're going to take over the whole land, right? So that's the only thing that I can think of. So, and also I find it very interesting in here too, that he, if you're going to build a siege works, you don't do anything with a fruit-bearing tree. you only do it with trees that don't bear fruit. And once again, Yah is concerned for the people of the land, that they have something to eat. Because if you go in there and you destroy all the fruit trees, then what are the people of the land? What are the sojourners even going to have to eat? So Yah always is looking out for humanity, even though we don't see it sometimes when we're reading these passages, but that's exactly what he's doing. So, but in the very beginning then, when they're going into battle, which, this is the very first thing they do, when they strap on their sword to walk across the Jordan, when they're going in there, he's saying, wait a minute, if you've got a woman, you should stay with her. If you're afraid, don't go to battle, right? Or leave. I also found it interesting that it's not just that they're afraid, but if they are tender-hearted, if they're afraid and tender of heart. Well, I guess that's interesting. In the Revelation, it says the cowardly do not enter, but it doesn't say the tender-hearted one doesn't, right? And once again, there's this picture, because I do think fear is a reaction, but courage is a choice. It's a choice. So when this picture, when they're going in here, that man, there's this group of people, they don't have to go, right? And I think of Gideon and how Gideon, kept dropping the numbers until we get down to 300 going in against thousands, right? And why? So that Yah got the credit for the win, right? Because it says right in here that Yah was going over to fight for them, right? Verse 4, he who goes with you to fight for you against your enemies to save you. So anyway, anyone else have anything they want to add to this, Daniel?
If we go back to the start at the beginning of chapter 20, it says, when you go out of battle against, I think at the critical time before the battle, it was the duty of the priest to encourage the soldiers to trust in Yahweh. Priests were not normally to go into battle themselves, in that they were not numbered among the fighting men of Israel. It says that in Numbers 1 verse 47. So yet the priest still had an important job when Israel went out to war, to teach and encourage the soldiers.
So true. So true. So all right, chapter 21, 1 through 9. When anyone is found slain, lying in a field in the land, which Yahweh Elohim is giving you to possess, and is not known who smote him, then your elders and your judges shall go out, and they shall measure the distance from the slain man to the cities round about. And it shall be that the elders of the city nearest the slain man shall take a heifer, which has not been worked, which has not pulled with a yoke, and the elders of the city shall bring the heifer down to the wadi with flowing water, which is neither plowed nor sown, and they shall break the heifer's neck there in the wadi. And the Kohen, the sons of Levi, shall come near, and Yahweh your Elohim has chosen them to serve him and to do Barak in the name of Yahweh, and by their command every strife and every stroke. And let all the elders of that city nearest the slain man wash their hands over the heifer whose neck was broken in the wadi, and they shall answer and say, our hands have not shed this blood, nor have our eyes seen it. And Yahweh, forgive your people, Yashrael, whom you have redeemed, and do not allow innocent blood in the midst of your people, Yashrael. And the blood guilt shall be pardoned to them. Thus you purge the guilt of innocent blood from your midst when you do what is right in the eyes of Yahweh. Wow. Once again, so this heifer, okay, so she's never had a yoke on her. Also heifer, in what I understand, would never have had a calf either. So she's going to be a young animal, probably under 2 years of age. And they break its neck. So now we know when the neck is broken that it's not for food, right? So, and she's down in the water, and they all have to wash their hands and say, we didn't do it, and we didn't see who did do it. I can only imagine, that the idea of that, how that then pardons them, because they have to literally wash their hands of it. They have to say, no, I have not done that. Almost like Pilate, right? I washed my hands of this. I'm not the one who put an innocent man to death. So anything else that you want to add here?
Yeah, just to return back to the wash their hands. Washing their hands was anciently a simple legal action denoting that the person was innocent of the crime in question. And it says, if you read the Job 9:30, if I washed myself with snow water and cleansed my hands with soap.
Yep.
And it says, Psalms 26:6, I wash my hands in innocence as a sign of innocence. I walked around your slaughter place, O Yahweh.
Mm-hmm. And it's also, that the blood guilt shall be pardoned from them. So I would imagine if they lie when they're washing their hands, then the blood guilt wouldn't be pardoned. So that's, so that's the importance of honesty and truth in this whole thing. So
yeah. So instead of washing their hands in normal world, they take an oath, the hand on the Bible.
Right. Yep, that's exactly what they were doing, was taking an oath saying we didn't do that. Judy?
Yes, on the heifer part, why the heifer? I suspect that it might be that Yah's all about just and balanced weights. So I figure it's a life for a life is why the heifer.
Right. Yep.
Anyway, that's my thoughts.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's a good point. And that's why they break the neck, right? Because that blood stays in the animal when the neck is broken. So. All right, moving on. We're going to go to Isaiah 51:12 through 52:12. And you were going to read that?
Yes, I am. Okay. Isaiah. I am he who comforts you. Who are you that are you afraid of man who dies, of the son of a man who is made like grass, and have forgotten Yahweh, your maker, who stretched out the heavens and laid the foundations of the earth, and you fear continually all the day because of the wrath of the oppressor, when he sets himself to destroy. And where is the wrath of the oppressor? He who is bowed down shall speedily be released. He shall not die and go down to the pit, neither shall his bread be lacking. I am Yahweh, your Elohim, who stirs up the sea so that it waves roar. Yahweh of hosts is his name, and I have put my words in your mouth and covered you in the shadow of my hand, establishing the heavens, laying the foundations of the earth, and saying to Zion, you are my people. Wake yourselves, stand up, O Jerusalem. You who have drunk from the hand of Yahweh, the cups of his wrath, who have drunk to the dregs the bowls, the cup of staggering. There is none to guide her among all the sons she has borne. There is none to take her by the hand among all the sons she has brought up. These two things have happened to you. Who will console you? Devastation and destruction, famine and sword. Who will comfort you? Your sons have fainted. They lie at the head of every street like an antelope in a net. They are full of the wrath of Yahweh, the rebuke of your Elohim. Therefore, hear this, you who are afflicted, who are drunk but not with wine, thus says the Lord Yahweh, your Elohim who pleads the cause of his people. Behold, I have taken from your hand the cup of staggering. The bowl of my wrath you shall drink no more, and I will put it into the hand of your tormentors, who have said to you, bow down that we may pass over. And you have made your back like the ground and like the street for them to pass over. Awake, awake, put on your strength, O Zion, put on your beautiful garments, O Jerusalem, the holy city, for there shall no more come into you the uncircumcised and the unclean. Shake yourself from the dust and arise. Be seated, O Jerusalem, loose the bonds from your neck, O captive daughter of Zion. For thus says Yahweh, you were sold for nothing, and you shall be redeemed without money. For thus says the Yahweh Elohim, my people went down at the first into Egypt to sojourn there, and the Assyrian oppressed them for nothing. Now therefore, what I have here, declares Yahweh, seeing that my people are taken away for nothing, the rulers rebel, declares Yahweh, and continually all the day my name is despised. Therefore my people shall know my name. Therefore in that day they shall know that it is who I speak. Here I am. How beautiful upon the mountains and the feet of him who brings good news, who publishes peace, who brings good news of happiness, who publishes salvation, who says to Zion, your Elohim reigns. The voice of your watchmen, they lift up their voice, together they sing for joy, for eye to eye they see the return of Yahweh to Zion. Break forth together into singing, you waste places of Jerusalem, for Yahweh has comforted his people. He has redeemed Jerusalem. Yahweh has bared his holy arm before the eyes of all the nations, and all the ends of the earth shall see the salvations of our Elohim. Depart, depart, go out from there. Touch no unclean thing. Go out from the midst of her. Purify yourself. You who bear the vessels of Yahweh, for you shall not go out in haste, and you shall not go in flight. For Yahweh will go before you, and the Elohim of Israel will be your rear guard.
Wow. So here again, I see this as this future event coming out of Deuteronomy, coming into, which is the promised land, right? And I think that's what's mentioned here in chapter 52. Awake, awake, put on your strength, O Zion, put on your garments of splendor, O Jerusalem, the Kodesh city, for no more do the uncircumcised and the unclean come into you. And that's this future event when the garden comes. The garden, Jerusalem, Zion are all the same thing. They're all referencing the same thing. And the city will be born in one day, or the nation will be born in one day, I'm sorry. And that's when all of these people come in, and she has to expand her borders in order to accept all these people. Wow. And verse 12, when you started out, right? I am he who comforts you. Who are you that you should be afraid of man that dies, and the Son of Man who is made like grass, right? So Yahusha says that in Luke, right? Don't be afraid of the one that can kill you, but be afraid of the one who not only can kill you, but also determine your eternal salvation, right? Him you should fear, right? And that's powerful stuff. So we shouldn't be afraid of man, although that's so easy to say because it's, I know I have shrunk back from certain things that Yah has put before me to do and say, but, and had to plead for forgiveness, so that's, and this is what's coming. And that's why, this is such a beautiful chapter here or passage, I should say, because it flows together. It's not just one chapter or the other, but verse there's just so much in here. Verse 16, halfway through, I'm sorry, I'll read all of verse 16. I have put my words in your mouth, and with the shadow of my hand I have covered you to plant the Shamayim, lay the foundations of the earth, and to say to Zion, you are my people. Wow. So I think of Hosea 2, and I'm not going to read it all because we're running out of time here. But in Hosea 2, it speaks about they keep calling to the Baals, right? Verse 16. For in that day it shall be the day, declares Yahweh, that you shall call me my husband and no longer call me my Baali, right? And I shall remove the names of the Baals from your mouth, and they shall no more be remembered by their name, right? And then drop down to verse 23. And I shall sow her for myself in the earth, and I shall have compassion on her who had not obtained compassion. And I shall say to those who were not my people, you are my people, while they say, my Elohim. Wow. And what a beautiful, beautiful day that will be when all of the people who are his call out and say, you are my husband. You're here. It's such a beautiful picture to me. So anyway, do you have anything you want to add to this? I know there's more in here we could talk about, but
not from my part.
Not from your part. So verse 9, I'm going to read that little bit to break forth into joy. Sing together, you waste places of Jerusalem. For Yahweh shall comfort his people. He shall redeem Jerusalem. Yahweh shall lay bare his Kodesh arm in the eyes of all nations, and all the ends of the earth shall see the deliverance of our Elohim. Right? Turn aside, come out from there. Touch not the unclean thing. Oh, come now. Oh, wow. Come out of the midst, be clean, you who bear the vessels of Yahweh. So what are we told in Revelation 18? Come out of her, my people. What are we told here? Come out. Touch no unclean thing. What are we told in 2 Corinthians chapter 6? Touch no unclean thing, and he will be an L to us. Wow. I mean, it's over and over. It's repeated time and time again. You know why? Because we're dummies. It takes a lot to bang it into our heads, right? For you shall go out and not out in haste. Or I'm sorry, for you shall not come out in haste, nor go in and fight. For Yahweh is going before you, and the Elohim of Yasharel is your rear guard. He's going to do the fighting. The very end, that's not our battle. That's not our battle. Our battle is to stay righteous. That is our battle. Our battle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, authorities, and the principalities in high places, right? So that's where our battle rages, right? And we have the word, right? Hebrews 4:12 tells us it's a double-edged sword. The word is a double-edged sword, cutting through joint and marrow, right down to the very heart, right? That's the word. And we're told in 2 Corinthians or 1 Corinthians 10:4, right? Our weapons are not carnal, but are strong, powerful to the tearing down of strongholds, right? That's the word that we have and that we can use to take our stand against the wiles of the devil and against his emissaries here on earth. All right, where are we at for time? You want to move on?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, unless you have something to add. Yep. Okay, Matthew 18, I'm having a hard time seeing it. Matthew 18:15 through 20. Matthew 18:15 through 20. And if your brother sins against you, oh, you actually read this one earlier. Let's not reread this one, right? Isn't this the one that you read earlier? Yeah.
Yes. But you could
Okay.
go on with the Matthew 26, verse 36.
Yep. Okay, Matthew 26. $36 through 27:10. Okay. Then Yahusha came with them to a place called Gethsemane and said to the Talmudim, sit here while I go over there and pray. And he took with him Kepha, the two sons of Zebedee, and he began to be grieved and deeply distressed. Then he said to them, my being is exceedingly grieved, even to the point of death, even to death. Stay here and watch with me. And going forward a little, he fell on his face and prayed, oh, my Father, if it is possible, let this cup pass from me. Yet not as I desire, but as you. And he came to the Talmudim and found them asleep and said to Kepha, so were you not able to watch with me 1 hour? Watch and pray, lest you enter into trial. The spirit indeed is eager, but the flesh is weak. And again he went away a second time and prayed, O Father, if it is possible for this to pass, unless I drink it, let your desire be done. And he came and found them asleep again, for their eyes were heavy. And he left them, went away again, and prayed the third time, saying the same words. Then he came to the Talmudim and said to them, still sleeping and taking rest? See, the hour has come near, and the Ben of Adam is delivered up into the hands of sinners. Rise, let's go. See, he who delivers me has come near. And while he was still speaking, see, Yehuda, one of the 12, with the large crowd and swords and clubs, came from the chief Cohen and the elders of the people. And he was delivering him up, gave him a sign, saying, whomever I kiss, it is he, seize him. And going straight up to Yahusha, he said, greetings, Rabbi, and kissed him. And Yahusha said to him, friend, why have you come? Then they came and laid hands on Yahusha and seized him. And look, one of those with Yahusha put his hand and drew his sword, and striking the servant of the Cohen, Hagadol, he cut off his ear. Then Yahusha said to him, return your sword to its place, for all who take the sword shall die by the sword. Or do you think that I am not able to pray to my Father now, and he shall provide me with more than 12 legions of messengers? How then would the scriptures be fulfilled, that it has to be this way? In That hour, Yahusha said to the crowds, have you come out against a robber with swords, clubs to arrest me? Daily I sat with you, teaching in the Mikdash, and you did not seize me. But all this came to be so that the scriptures of the Nebilim might be filled. Then all the Talmudim left him and fled. And those who had seized Yahusha led him away to Kepha, the Kohen, Hagadol, where the scribes and the elders had gathered together. But Kepha followed him at a distance. Okay, so I said it the wrong way. I don't know how to say that. Kepha? But Kepha followed him at a distance to the courtyard, and the Kohen, Hagadol, and he went in and sat with the servants to see the end. And the chief Kohen and the elders and all the council were seeking false witnesses against Yahusha to put him to death, but found none. Although many false witnesses came forward, they found none. But at last, two false witnesses came forward and said, this is the one. I am able to destroy the Mishkan of Elohim and build it in 3 days. And the Kohen, Hagadol, stood up and said, have you no answer to make? What do these witnesses against you? But Yahusha remained silent, so that the Kohen Hagadol said to him, I put you to oath by the living Elohim that you say to us, you are Hamashiach, the Ben of Yahweh. And Yahusha said to him, you have said it. Besides, I say to you, from now, you shall see the Ben of Adam sitting in the right hand of the Almighty and coming on the clouds of the Shamayim. When the Kohen Hagadol tore his garments, he had blasphemed, saying he had blasphemed. Why do we need any more witnesses? See, now you have heard his blasphemy. What do you think? And they answered and said, he is liable to death. Then they spat in his face and beat him, and others slapped him, saying, Naba to us, Messiah, who is the one who struck you? And Kepha sat outside in the courtyard, and the servant girl came to him, saying, are you, and you were with him, Yahusha of Galilee. But he denied it before them all, saying, I do not know what you say. And as he was going out into the porch, another girl saw him and said to those there, this one was with him, Yahusha of Nazareth. But again he denied with an oath, I do not know the man. And after a while, those who stood by came to him and said to Kepha, truly you are one of them, too, for even your speech gives you away. Then he began to curse and to swear, saying, I do not know the man. And immediately the cock crowed, and Kepha remembered the word of Yahusha, who had said to him, before the cock crows, you shall deny me 3 times. And going out, he wept bitterly. So, wow. This, again, the importance of the witnesses, right? That's what first comes to my mind here as we read in Deuteronomy. The importance of the witnesses, that those have to be honest witnesses, right? Now here, these guys didn't have to pick up the first stone and stone him. They could come and say, no, he's the one. I heard him say this. I heard him say that, right? And even at the end, right? He says, the high priest says to him, the Hagadol, where is that at? I lost my spot, where he says, verse 64. Yahusha said to him, you have said it. Besides, you say, I say to you, from now on, you shall see the Ben of Adam sitting at the right hand of the Almighty and coming in the clouds of the Shamayim. Then the Kohen, Hagadol, tore his garment, saying, he has blasphemed. Why do we need any more witnesses, right? So Yahusha gives the testimony of not only the fact that he's was sent by Yahweh, but also that he's coming back, right? He's coming back in the Shamayim. You're going to see him in the clouds. That's Matthew 24. Very clearly lays this out, how this is going to happen. So, do you have anything you want to add here, Daniel? I feel like I talked too much.
No, please carry on.
Oh, so, and it's also interesting how Kepha then is also the one who denies him, right? So we read in Deuteronomy that this is the one we must listen to, right? He's the one who speaks the very words of Yahweh. And that was Yahusha. And Kepha heard that. And yet he denied him, right? So again, that ends up, I mean, he was there. He saw him. He saw the miracles. He saw all of that stuff, right? And Yahusha then says, to Timothy, oh, stick your hands in here, touch here. You know that it's me now. Blessed are those who did not see and believe, right? So we're 2,000 years removed, and we believe in what the Messiah did. We believe in what was written down. We believe in his work on the cross, that through his work, the penalty for sin was nailed to the cross, right? So anyway, all right, you want to keep reading here?
Yeah, read the end of more 10 verses of chapter
Right,
27.
10 more verses, okay. And the morning having come, all the chief Cohen and the elders of the people took counsel against Yahusha, so as to put him to death. And having bound him, they led him away and delivered him to Pontius Pilate, the governor. Then Yehuda, he who delivered him up, having seen that he had been condemned, repented, and returned the 30 pieces of silver to the chief Cohen and to the elders, saying, I have sinned in delivering up innocent blood. And they said, what is that to us? You see to it. And throwing down the pieces of silver in the Mishkan, he left and went and hanged himself. And the chief Cohen took the silver pieces and said, it is not right to put the money into the treasury, seeing they are the price of blood. So they took counsel and bought with them the potter's field for the burial of strangers. Therefore the field has been called the field of blood until today. Then was fulfilled what was spoken by Yirmiyahu the Nabi, saying, and they took the 30 pieces of silver, the price of him who was pierced, on whom they of the children of Yashrael put a price. And they gave them the potter's field, and Yahweh had ordained me, and gave them for the potter's field as Yahweh had ordained me. So interestingly enough, right, he's bought for the 30 pieces of silver, handed over the price of a slave. And they turn around, interestingly enough, oh no, it's not right for us to put it back into the treasuries. I'm kind of surprised they didn't just put it into their pockets, but they went out and bought a field, a burial spot, so that for the sojourners and for the people like Judas, right, or Yehuda, that he would have a place to be buried. So this is, again, there's so much in here that I don't know.
In the Hebrew context, it says in ancient Hebrew culture, 30 shekels of a silver was the compensation paid to a slave masters if the slave was killed by a bull, as stated in Exodus 21:32. This amount was seen as a fair price for a human life, highlighting the value placed on a servant's life.
Isn't that something? So they put a price on humanity. Yeah. Which in some respects I understand, but it's, But also, you know, kind of coming back into this when we see that, you know, the three didn't stay awake, right? Yahusha said, here, you stay and watch with me. Well, what were they to watch for? Right? But they didn't. They couldn't stay awake because, you know, it was late in the night and they'd probably been up, you know. Well, I know they were up all night because the night before was Pesach, but they struggled trying to stay awake. They couldn't do it. And, you know, and here's Yahusha over here saying to the Father, you know, not my will, but your will be done. May this cup pass from me. And I know there's different theories on the idea of this prayer, but it also says that he sweats drops of blood. And my true belief is that sweating drops of blood is, while it can be a real illness or whatever you want to call it, it's also a death sentence when you're doing that. And so was he so distraught over what was to come, you know, that he was sweating drops of blood? But I don't think he was saying, oh no, I don't want to go, because he said in John 10, I lay my life down on my own accord, right? Only to pick it back up again. I think he was saying, don't let Satan kill me here in the garden. Let it be that I'm crucified the way that it was prophesied that it happened, that he hang between the two slaves, that he hangs next to the criminals outside, you know. And as earlier, it says earlier, you know, in Deuteronomy, that cursed is the man who hangs on the tree, right? And he gives up his ruach before the end of the day without his legs being broken. And he's laid in the tomb on a Wednesday, late in the afternoon, put in the grave just before dark on a Wednesday, on the 4th day of the week, to rise once again on the 7th day of the week. Not on the 1st day of the week, but on the 7th day of the week. So anyway, do we want to move on from here, or are we ready to call it, Daniel?
I think we should call it.
All right. So let's close with the word of prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, we do come before you, thanking you and praising you for all that you do, for all that you are, for the breath of life that you've given to each one of us. Father, may that ruach, may we breathe in and breathe out your word, that people around us can know that we are a peculiar people, a set-apart people, a people that is like a gemstone in the world, that they might come to the understanding that there is only one way to the Father, and that is through the Son. And I pray that you would direct and guide each one of our lives. Help us to be doers of the word and not hearers only. And I pray for those who are sick and hurting, and I pray that you would heal them. We continue to think of Chris and Gabriella and so many others, Father. I just lift them up before you and praise you for the work of healing, and that you are our protector. You are our rear guard, as it says. You are going to fight for us. And we come into you and seek rest. It's in Yahusha's name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, brother. And if Yah's willing, we will see you next Shabbat. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat
Shalom.